Shocking truth, they uncovered what the Bible really says about Jesus' divine nature. Few knew what truly happened that night in the shadows of Jerusalem. Underneath the glow of an indifferent moon, whispers curled through the air. It was a night alive with tension, when miracles danced on the edge of disbelief. The air crackled with a desperate energy. With every corner turned, secrets shivered just beyond reach. In a dimly lit room, a small circle gathered. The flickering oil lamps cast flickers of light and shadow across their worried faces. Among them was Yeshua, a man whose very essence seemed to shimmer with divine mystery. The people leaned in, entranced. Who was he, really? More questions filled the air than answers. They saw him heal the paralyzed, feed the hungry, even speak to the winds, but each wonder left them asking, was he truly the Son of God, or just a man with extraordinary gifts? The context of this extraordinary evening held great weight. Jerusalem, a city teetering on the brink of turmoil. The Roman Empire's grip tightening daily. The faith of the people flickering like the lamps flickering around them. This was not just a moment of revelation, it was a flashpoint for a movement that would change the world. Yet each miracle raised more questions. What did it mean for Israel? What did it mean for the world? As bellies rumbled, a hush fell. A miracle was unfolding. Jesus reached out, palms open, and a basket filled with loaves and fishes appeared. Gasps echoed. How could this be? Could this be the answer to their prayers, the harbinger of hope in their time of despair? Yet, among the awe, uncertainty loomed large. Was it real, or just an illusion to pacify their hunger? Fingers shook as they grasped the bread. Little did they know, they were not just sharing a meal, they were tasting the essence of something divine. And as eyes locked on Jesus, a flicker of doubt crossed one man's face. He thought, what if this was all smoke and mirrors? The questions multiplied like the grains of sand. Would they find the truth about his nature? Could this man walk the line between mortal and divine? Or were they destined to remain in the dark, always searching, never finding? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the echoes of amazement faded into murmurs, the vivid evening continued to unfold, revealing more layers of the profound mystery that enveloped Yeshua. The crowd, now unified by a shared experience of wonder, was drawn closer, as if the divine spark within him had ignited a flicker of belief in their hearts. Yeshua, sensing the weight of their gazes, stood tall, his presence commanding yet inviting. The oil lamps flickered again, casting long shadows that danced upon their faces, reminding each soul present of their human frailty in the stark light of the miraculous. Tell me, he began, his voice soft but resonating deeply, what do you seek? What is it that stirs within you? One by one, they shared their burdens, the sick seeking healing, the oppressed longing for freedom, the hungry yearning for bread, but beneath their needs lay an unspoken thirst, a desire for truth, for something beyond their current reality. The expectation in the air grew heavy, and Yeshua listened intently, a soft smile resting upon his lips, aware that the questions surrounding his nature were as profound as the answers he bore within. The man who had doubted earlier, known as Thomas, caught Yeshua's eye, his brow furrowed in contemplation. Rabbi, he ventured, anxiety in his voice, is this miracle merely a sign for our hunger? Or is it something more? Are you here to reveal the God we have longed to see? A silence enveloped the room, pierced only by the distant chirping of crickets outside, as if all creation leaned in to listen. Yeshua shifted slightly, allowing the weight of his response to form. What you see before you, my friend, is both bread and truth, he replied, gesturing to the remnants of miraculous sustenance that lay scattered across the table. In the breaking of the bread, there lies the promise of nourishment, not just for your bodies, but for your spirits. I am not just here to fill your stomachs, I come to fill your souls, to show you a light that cannot be extinguished." The room buzzed with an energy that belied the confusion swirling in their hearts. Could it be that this man embodied a truth beyond their comprehension? Doubts and affirmations swirled together like oil and water, each person wrestling with themselves, attempting to piece together the fragments of Yeshua's identity. As if sensing their continued struggle, Yeshua continued to speak. "The divine is not distant or aloof, but woven into the fabric of human experience. I am the manifestation of hope and love. I seek to connect with each of you on levels you have yet to discover." His eyes sparkled with knowing, inviting them to dive deeper into their own faith and understanding, but for every yes, there loomed an equally strong what if. Could they dare to dream that they were on the brink of an awakening, or was this vortex of passion merely a delusion spun from their desperate hearts? The mixture of faith and fear brewed an undercurrent of tension, for the promise of a miracle also came with the burden of profound transformation. Thomas, his heart racing, stood to speak once more. "And what if we do not understand? What if this light only casts shadows around our greatest doubts?" Yeshua regarded him with gentle compassion. "Then let your doubt become a bridge, not a barrier. Embrace the questions, they will lead you to the truth." With each significant moment shared, the air thickened with anticipation, but confusion still wrapped itself around their hearts like a shroud. Outside, the moon climbed higher in the sky, imparting a silvery glow that matched the tension within the hearts gathered. What awaited them on this path of questioning and revelation? Would they find clarity, or would their struggle only deepen the mystery surrounding the one they were beginning to call their Messiah? Would faith arise from doubt, or did they stand on the precipice of disillusion? As the night stretched on, a new question lingered in the depths of their souls: was understanding a precursor to belief, or could belief exist in the shadows of uncertainty? The flickering flames cast a warm glow, illuminating faces filled with quiet determination and uncertainty. As the moonlight poured through the open windows, a soothing breeze began to whisper among the gathered, bringing the fragrance of wildflowers from the nearby fields. It felt as though the night itself held its breath, aching for the truths buried within the souls around the table. Yeshua, sensing the tension not only of the questions but of the young hearts before him, turned his gentle gaze to the sky. "The stars," he said, "are but beacons of a deeper reality. Each light represents a story of hope and struggle, a reminder that in darkness, even a single spark can guide our way." His words drew their eyes upward, a collective moment of wonder grounding them in the vastness of existence. "You struggle with how I embody both humanity and divinity," Yeshua continued, his tone inviting exploration. "But understand this, it is in the limits of your own nature that you find the boundless love of the Creator. I come not to overshadow your lives but to illuminate them, revealing pathways hidden in the shadows of your fears." Thomas' heart raced as he pondered those words, feeling as if the layers of his doubt began to peel away, revealing a raw inner longing. "But Rabbi," he interjected, his voice trembling yet firm, "if you claim to show us God, why do you walk among us in such humility? Why not manifest your power in ways that could remove all doubt?" There was a moment of stillness as Yeshua considered this profound inquiry, his eyes softening with understanding. To manifest power is to reveal dominance, to envelop you in humility is to invite connection. Even the heavens bow down to the smallest of creatures. Consider the sparrow, insignificant in size, yet cherished by the heart of God. Similarly, my path is one of service and sacrifice, for it is through vulnerability that true strength emerges. His words hung in the air like a shimmering thread, weaving together the hearts of those present. They were beginning to grasp something central to their existence: humility as a facet of divinity, presence as an extension of love. Here was a man who offered the radical idea that to labor in love was to dwell in the sacred, yet, no sooner had the understanding deepened than unvoiced fears began to bubble back to the surface. How could they trust in this promise of transformation? What would it cost them to step beyond the familiar into the realm of the unknown? The communal pulse quickened, a mixture of inspiration and trepidation surging through the group. "What is this sacrifice you speak of?" A woman, her voice trembling with apprehension, asked. "What will become of us if we choose to follow? Is it worth the risk?" Yeshua's smile widened, embodying deep-seated wisdom. "Life itself is fraught with choices, and each choice carries an inherent risk. To live fully is to embrace uncertainty. Yet know this, what you hold tightly may not satisfy your deepest longings. In the letting go, you open yourself to a love that encompasses all. This love will transcend fear, it will cradle your questions. The weight of those words settled heavily, and yet they lifted the spirits of those who hoped for change. Each person carried within them the echoes of their lives, marked with burdens that sat like stones in their pockets. Could Yeshua truly gift them the strength to shed those weights? Could they find freedom in this intermingling of faith and doubt? As the night unfolded, a deeper understanding began to take root in the hearts of the gathering. They were no longer just observers of a miracle, they were participants in a story unending. With each echo of their shared struggle, the question grew louder: in the pursuit of divine truth, could they risk everything to become more fully alive? What truths lay hidden in their vulnerability and the embrace of the unknown? As the moon moved higher in the night sky, casting a silver veil over the gathering, the murmurs of uncertainty began to dissipate, replaced by a resonating silence that invited introspection. Each individual lost in their thoughts, contemplated the weight of the choice Yeshua had placed before them, a call to enter into the unknown with faith as their guide. That in this space of reflection, Simon, the zealot, leaned forward, his brow furrowed with doubt. "Rabbi," he began, his voice steady yet hesitant, "if the path you detail is one of sacrifice, how can a group such as ours, gifted with hopes and ambitions, make our way through the thorns and brambles that lie ahead? We yearn for liberation, yet you speak of chains of surrender. Is freedom not in a clash against what binds us?" Yeshua regarded Simon thoughtfully, as if pulling the threads of his confusion into the light. "Each struggle holds a teaching, Simon. Freedom is not found in rebellion alone, but in the shaping of interiors that align with the heart of the universe. Look to the farmer, who sows seeds in barren soil. His labor lies not in fighting against the earth but in nurturing it to reveal its promise. The true strength of liberation arises when one's heart learns to bend and not break. As these words sank in, a ripple of awareness swept through the gathering. Yeshua was not calling them to abandonment but to a profound transformation, the cultivation of resilience through humility and love. It was a perspective that invited them to question the very constructs of strength they had previously clutched. From the edge of the group, Mary of Magdala, whose insightful eyes often saw deeper than most, spoke up, her voice soft yet piercing through the hearts of those gathered. "Rabbi, can true strength arise from such vulnerability? Our world teaches us to build walls to protect our hearts. To lay bare our souls feels perilous, as if exposing ourselves invites pain rather than healing." Yeshua's gaze, warm and encompassing, settled on her. "Indeed, Mary. The world often values shields over open hearts. But consider the flower that blooms. Its beauty lies in no defense, yet it understands the risk of being plucked by those who do not appreciate its grace. In essence, vulnerability is not weakness, it is the ground from which love can unfurl. Through this rawness, we find connection, and from connection, we discover the roots of divine existence." A silence fell, the weight of his words resonating within, shifting the dynamics of their thought processes. The path began to transform from isolation into one of shared journey, where the pain of vulnerability became an avenue leading toward something greater, unity and communion with the sacred. Yet as this realization took its breath, doubts crept in once more. It was not enough to simply believe in the magnificent ideals Yeshua presented, they had to act upon them. But in that action lay uncertainty, potential heartbreak, the specter of disappointment, and the fear of what they may lose. And no matter how willingly, Thomas ventured, what if we give our all and still find ourselves in the dark? How do we stand firm if the path leads to suffering rather than joy? The stars above blazed with silent answers, twinkling as if echoing Yeshua's quiet confidence. Suffering is indeed a part of the tapestry of life, dear Thomas. But know this, within suffering lies a profound truth, the catalyst for growth and renewal. It is when you traverse moments of sorrow that you discover immense depths of joy. My call to you is not a promise of a pain-free existence but a journey through it, where true wisdom blooms. The unspoken question lingered in the air, a subtle whisper echoing through the souls of those present. In the face of potential suffering and fear of loss, were they ready to venture into the heart of divinity? What unseen truths lay waiting in the folds of their vulnerability? and dare they embrace the great uncertainty that beckoned them forward. As the night deepened, the air thick with contemplation, Yeshua's gaze pierced through the darkness, holding the weight of untold mysteries. The flickering flame of the oil lamps cast a warm glow around the circle, illuminating the faces of those who held their breath, suspended between their doubts and the allure of faith. Each heart wrestled with the choice that lay ahead: was it to remain anchored in the familiar, or to step boldly into the unknown? Peter, fidgeting with the edge of his cloak, broke the silence, his voice a mixture of yearning and trepidation. "Rabbi, you speak of transformation, of nurturing the heart amidst the thorns. Yet, how can this be reconciled with the very clear prophecies we have known? Is there not a battle to be won, a kingdom to be reclaimed? How then can humility and suffering alone lead us to the promise of God's reign?" Yeshua's expression softened, as if Peter's question drew watercolor skies behind his eyes. "Ah, Peter, the prophecies speak of a kingdom, yes, but one that may not look as you envision. The kingdom of God is not wrought by swords or shields, but in the quiet rebellion of love and grace. Each act of kindness, each moment of forgiveness is a battle won in the realm of the Spirit, shifting the fabric of what it means to reign. The scalpel of compassion often wields a might greater than any sword. As echoes of understanding washed over them, the group fell into reverie. They were grappling not merely with the prospect of personal sacrifice but with a cosmic shift that Yeshua was illuminating. The kingdom he described was sowed through vulnerability, not empire-building. That thought, Simon pondered deeper, but what about those who suffer at the hands of the oppressors? What of justice? Should we not rise against that which binds us? "I do not call you to silence suffering, Simon," Yeshua replied, his tone nearly melodic. "Rather, I invite you to become the embodiment of justice through love. True strength does not merely strike back, it reflects the deep yearning for wholeness, peace, and understanding in all. Drive out the darkness not by force, but with the light carried in your heart. Love is the sword that triumphs when wielded with wisdom." A ripple of awe cascaded through the assembly. Here was a truth that contradicted every instinct, yet resonated with a profound sense of hope. They began to grapple not with mere action but with the essence of presence. As the mind spun around revelations, Mary of Magdala's voice emerged again, whispering a question that both excited and terrified: "Rabbi, does this mean that we must embrace our own suffering too? Can we honor our pain while walking alongside those who are lost?" "Indeed, Mary," Yeshua affirmed gently. "In recognizing your own wounds, you unlock the doorway to not only your healing but to that of others. Your scars are maps of survival, traces that show others they do not walk alone. Through bearing your vulnerability, you become a beacon that entices others to step towards the light of liberation." In this moment of understanding, they grew aware of the paradox they faced. Relinquishing the armor they wore also meant embracing their innermost fears, those that haunted them with shadows of inadequacy. Thomas, who had remained contemplative, added cautiously, "But is it not easier to wall ourselves in? To guard our hearts against the world's brutality?" "Perhaps," Yeshua spoke, his voice a gentle breeze. "But to guard oneself entirely is to deny the very essence of what it means to live. Each wall erected limits the flow of joy, love, and connection. Only by daring to take down those walls can the divine spirit dance through the chambers of your heart." Amidst whispers of both dread and excitement, the seeds of hope planted in their souls began to germinate. And yet, only more questions lingered, spiraling within them. Were they ready to shoulder their vulnerability? To welcome the suffering that would inevitably be part of their journey? Would they be able to unearth the beauty hidden in their collective pain and transform it into the very strength that could reshape their lives and the world around them? As they turned their hearts toward Yeshua, the starry night loomed above, held by silenced answers, awaiting their next brave steps into faith's unfolding mystery. As dawn began to stretch its golden fingers across the sky, the air crackled with a tension that felt both exhilarating and oppressive. The circle around Yeshua remained huddled together, but the atmosphere had shifted. The earlier warmth of shared understanding was now laced with uncertainty, as if they were teetering on the edge of a precipice, peering into an abyss of transformation. Andrew, whose brow was furrowed in contemplation, leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Rabbi, if love is the sword and compassion the shield, what must we sacrifice to follow this path? Are our own desires to be laid upon the altar of this new kingdom? How do we weigh our own selves against the call for others? Yeshua regarded each of them with the depth of his compassion. To love deeply, my friends, often requires a surrender of the self. It is not a matter of removing oneself, but rather reshaping your desires to align with a greater purpose. Sacrifice is challenging, yet it invites you into a realm where authenticity thrives. It is in this surrender that you may find your truest selves. A solitary breeze ruffled the hair of the gathered, carrying with it the sense of morning dew and the burgeoning promise of a day still unwritten. They held their breath, instinctively aware they were standing on holy ground, navigating a territory where faith and doubt entwined in a complex dance. Peter, ever impassioned and brimming with fervor, raised his voice, "Rabbi, does this mean we must give up the hopes we have for our own lives? Our aspirations? Our dreams of freedom and justice? Do they not matter? Your hopes and dreams are seeds woven into the fabric of your being," Yeshua replied, his presence radiating calm. "They carry the potential for both your liberation and the healing of the world. It is not the forsaking of personal dreams that opens the way to the kingdom, but the transformation of these dreams through love and service to others. When you align your heart's yearnings with the thirst for justice and grace, you become a catalyst of divine movement." The weight of his words hung in the air, and an electric stillness ensued. Each of them grappled with the enormity of that reconciliation. Could they indeed transform their dreams into something greater? Would they be willing to redefine their lives not merely in the light of individual aspirations, but as intertwined expressions of communal grace? Mary, emboldened by her reflections, interjected, "But what if love leads us to places of pain? What if our hearts are broken in the process of serving others? Isn't that also a sacrifice? How do we embrace a journey that might lead us to deep sorrow?" "Ah, Mary," Yeshua responded softly, his gaze unwavering. "To embrace love is to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, joy and sorrow alike. Each tear shed opens your heart wider to the beauty of creation, each wound becomes a testament to your journey. True love does not insulate you from the world's anguish, instead, it invites you to stand in solidarity with those who suffer, allowing your experiences to cultivate compassion rather than resignation." As the dawn painted the horizon in hues of hope, Simon's ears perked with curiosity. "Rabbi, do we not risk losing ourselves in this love? In opening our hearts, how do we ensure we do not simply become vessels of pain ourselves?" "In this shared vulnerability, you find strength," Yeshua assured them, firmly yet gently. "Guard your hearts, for they hold the light within, yet understand, shared love is never about losing yourselves, rather, it is about discovering who you are meant to be. The wounds you carry will mold you into instruments of change, your brokenness is understood in the fullness of collective experience. When you bind your wounds with one another, the healing will echo far beyond your immediate sphere." A profound silence enveloped the group as they absorbed his declarations, grappling with the paradox that underpinned their existence, that in letting go of the need for self-preservation, they might find a greater purpose for which they were intended. Yet unresolved questions lingered in the corners of their minds, casting shadows on their hopes. Would they find the courage to embrace love, knowing the potential for pain? And could their suffering lead not to despair but to a new understanding of the very nature of divine love? As the first light of day broke the celestial embrace of night, they stood on the threshold, eager yet hesitant to step into the mystery that awaited them. As the sun began to rise higher, illuminating the world with a warm glow, the group felt a stirring within. They breathed in the air, rich with potential, their spirits a mix of hope and trepidation. The faces of the disciples revealed their inner turmoil, a reflection of the questions swirling in their hearts, unanswered but vital. Yeshua sensed the weight of their uncertainty, a palpable energy binding them all to the moment. "What you fear is not the light that will guide you, but the shadows that threaten to engulf you. Yet, even in darkness, the divine whispers," he stated, his voice wrapping around them like a gentle embrace. "Listen closely to the silence, for therein lies your path." The disciples turned their ears inward, seeking the silence that seemed to hum with secrets yet untold. James, with brow furrowed in contemplation, lifted his gaze to meet Yeshua's. "Rabbi, you speak of surrender, yet we have witnessed your power over sickness, nature, and even death itself. Is it not in these miracles that we find our own sense of safety and understanding of the divine? Yeshua smiled, a knowing glint in his eye. Miracles are but glimpses into the boundless love of the Creator. They serve to awaken your hearts, guiding you back to a truth that resides within you. Each healing, each miracle echoes a simple reality: the divine is present in the everyday, in the ordinary acts of love that often go unnoticed. A hum of realization passed through the group, and Nathanael leaned closer, drawn by curiosity. Yet if we are to follow your path, Rabbi, will we not find ourselves at odds with the very beliefs that have shaped our lives? How will we navigate the tension between the traditions we hold dear and the call to something new? Yeshua met Nathanael's gaze with profound compassion. Change, my friends, is a turbulent sea upon which you will sail. You must learn to navigate not only the waves of tradition but also the winds of divine revelation. Each moment offers a choice: to cling to what you know or to trust in what you have yet to understand. Embrace the discomfort that comes with transformation. It is in this radical uncertainty that the new kingdom is birthed. Simon, wrestling with his own entanglement of thoughts, stood up straight, as if the words had ignited a fire within him. Rabbi, how can we be certain that our path is aligned with divine will? The earth is full of false prophets and distractions. How do we discern what is true? Simon, Yeshua replied, in your heart lies the compass that will guide you through deception. Each act of love, each heartbeat aligned with compassion, brings you closer to the pulse of the divine. Seek within yourself, your spirit knows the truth. Trust in the connections that uplift and embolden you. Where there is love, there lies the divine. As Yeshua's words flowed, the disciples felt a new resolve blossoming within, yet the questions remained like twinkling stars in a vast night sky, beautiful, but distant. Each man and woman pondered the challenge of bridging their present realities with the call to a radical love that could transform the very fabric of their existence. But as they stood at this precipice of change, a shadow lingered at the edges of their thoughts. What would surrender truly look like in their lives? How would they navigate the duality of tradition and revelation, truth and uncertainty? As the first rays of sunlight bathed them in warmth, they began to realize that the answers would not come easily, nor would they come all at once, and so, they stood in the glow of the dawn, heartbeats steady yet hearts racing, asking themselves, could they trust in the unseen hand of divine love that beckoned them forward, even into the wilderness of the unknown? Would they find their way not just to answers, but also to a deeper understanding of their place in the unfolding narrative of humanity and divinity? The sun climbed higher, casting its golden rays upon the gathered disciples, each man still wrapped in the thoughts stirred by Yeshua's words. The air, thick with the sense of dew and earth, felt alive with the echoes of their unspoken fears. They looked to Yeshua, awaiting further guidance, as if he could distill the chaos of their hearts into clarity. Rabbi, spoke Peter, his voice a mix of determination and doubt. You speak of a new kingdom, but what do we do with the longing that fills our chests for what has been? Our traditions cradle our identities. Can we abandon that which has formed and defined us? A deep silence enveloped the group. Each disciple's gaze shifted toward the ground, as connections to family and community, history and belief, seemed to intertwine with their pursuit of this radical path. Yeshua knelt down, drawing shapes in the dust with a single finger, drawing their attention away from the darkness of uncertainty to the earth beneath them. Consider this, he began, his voice a gentle call. Every sunrise that graces this land brings a new light, yet the earth continues to turn on its axis. The patterns of life hold meaning, but do not be tethered too tightly to them. Just as the budding tree must shed its leaves, so too must you part with old beliefs if they no longer foster growth. The disciples shifted restlessly, each feeling the weight of what was being asked of them. Matthew, ever the observer, broke the tension. But Rabbi, if we shed our leaves, what becomes of the roots that bind us? We fear that without them, we may lose ourselves in the wilderness. Matthew, Yeshua replied, glancing up from his drawing, what is a root if not a support for growth? Nourish them not out of fear, but out of love. Let them remind you of where you come from, but do not let them dictate where you are to go. In the tension between loss and revelation, there is great wisdom. As these words settled within their hearts, the disciples wrestled with the implications. Each felt a mix of liberation and anxiety. They were at a crossroads, caught between the comforts of their past and the possibilities of an uncharted future. Mary, listening intently, lifted her head. "Rabbi, you speak of love and growth, yet how will we recognize this divine transformation when it appears? Will it be in grand actions, or small whispers? How do we embrace a future we cannot fully envision?" Yeshua rose, his gaze sweeping over the gathered souls, understanding the labyrinth of their thoughts. Transformation is often the most subtle. It might appear like a soft breeze that moves through your heart rather than a thunderstorm of grand gestures. Pay attention to the small changes, the shifts in your thoughts, the stirring in your empathies, and the growing desire to act with kindness toward those whom you once deemed different. In time, the seeds of these moments will bear fruit beyond your wildest imaginations. His words hung like a mist, inviting contemplation. The disciples, while feeling buoyed by glimpses of hope, still battled the uncertainties of their journey ahead. Thomas, ever skeptical yet curious, pondered aloud, "Rabbi, how do we maintain our faith in this unseen transformation? What if we falter when faced with the enormity of our fear?" "Faith, dear Thomas," Yeshua responded, his tranquil demeanor unfaltering, "is akin to a torch in the darkness. It is lit not by certainty, but by our willingness to move forward despite the shadows that loom. If you allow your heart to be kindled by love, that flame will guide you through the murky paths. As the sun continued its ascent, illuminating their surroundings and their souls, the disciples felt the stirrings of a newfound resolve. They began to understand that their journey was one of gradual unfolding, a collaboration with a divine force that was as much a part of them as their individual stories. Yet, within the warmth of the dawn, a question flickered in the minds of each believer, like the glimmering stars fading slowly in the morning light: could they truly trust in the gradual process of divine transformation? What if they could not perceive it, or if the shadows of their doubts grew too menacing? As they wrestled with this uncertainty, one thought lingered above all: would they find, amidst fear and doubt, the courage to embrace the mysterious unfolding of their soul's journey? As the sun continued its ascent overhead, a stillness settled among the gathered disciples. They exchanged cautious glances, each embodying a mixture of hope and trepidation, wrestling with the profound ideas shared moments earlier. The warmth of the sun beckoned them to feel secure, yet shadows from their past clung stubbornly to their thoughts. Yeshua, sensing the weight of their contemplation, motioned them to walk with him. He led them down a narrow path that wound through the hills, their feet crunching on the gravel underfoot. With every step, their surroundings transformed from the familiarity of their village to the untamed beauty of the wilderness. Nature was a reflection of the inner turmoil they faced, serene yet chaotic, beautiful yet untamed. As they walked, Yeshua spoke softly, intertwining his teachings with the sights around them. "Look at the lilies of the field," he said, pointing to the vibrant blossoms that danced gently in the breeze. "They do not toil or spin, yet even Solomon in all his splendor was not adorned like one of these. In their simplicity, they embody a trust in the Creator's provision. Can you not learn from them?" James, skeptical of his brother's thoughts, replied, "Rabbi, while the lilies are lovely, our mission feels far greater. How can we embody such trust when the weight of the world's expectations bears down upon us? What will become of our lives? What foundation do we stand upon?" Yeshua paused, allowing the question to linger in the air. "Your foundation, dear friends, is not built upon the shifting sands of worldly expectations. It is formed in the steadfast love of the Father. It is in the recognition that your worth is not defined by what you produce or how others see you. Instead, it is revealed in how you love and serve one another. This is where true strength lies." The disciples reflected on this, absorbed in thoughts of their own past experiences, moments of insecurity intertwined with flickers of courage. Simon the Zealot broke the silence, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "But Rabbi, what if this approach leads us into danger? What if it exposes us to the wrath of those who oppose your message? Our lives may be at stake." Yeshua turned to Simon, his eyes glimmering with compassion. "In every act of love, there is the potential for sacrifice. The path you walk may be fraught with challenges, but fear not the billows of opposition. Your calling is not to tame the roaring seas, but to navigate them with faith, choosing love over fear. And in that choice, the kingdom is revealed, even amidst adversity." the disciples absorbed his words, but faint whispers of doubt still flickered within them. As dusk began to fall, they paused by a small stream, its gentle murmur providing a sanctuary of tranquility. The water flowed unceasingly, carving its path through solid rock, a silent testament to the power of patience and perseverance. Mary knelt by the stream, scooping her hands into the cool liquid. "Rabbi, if we are to embody this love and face danger head-on, how do we discern the path we are called to take? How do we know that we are truly following your teachings and not leading ourselves astray?" "Ah, my beloved," Yeshua replied, his gaze penetrating yet inviting, "the discernment of your path emerges from relationship. As you cultivate intimacy with the Father, as you listen, pray, and reflect, the way shall be illuminated before you. Trust that your intentions, if steeped in love, will guide your steps. Like the stream, remain fluid, adaptable to the shaping of the world around you. A heavy silence engulfed them all. Each disciple grappled with the implications of Yeshua's wisdom, recognizing the tension between their fears and the call to a deeper faith. As twilight enveloped the landscape, casting hues of purple and gold across the sky, an unbidden question nestled in the depths of their hearts: could they truly embrace this journey of uncertainty while still rooted in love? Would they have the courage to allow that love to guide them, even when the path was obscured by the shadows of fear and doubt? The night unfolded before them, pregnant with unanswered questions and the promise of a new beginning. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and deep violet, a metaphysical stillness permeated the atmosphere. The group sat in a semicircle around a small campfire, the flickering flame casting shadows that danced like the restless thoughts in their minds. Their hearts thumped in unison with the uncertainty that cloaked the evening. Here they were, chosen by the enigmatic Yeshua, grappling with a revolutionary truth that would alter the very essence of their lives. Yeshua, embodying a serene authority, glanced at each of them, his eyes sparkling with wisdom forged through love and struggle. "Tonight, as I prepare to usher you into a fuller understanding of what it means to follow the divine call, I need you to remember, every great revelation often rises from the depths of uncertainty." The night air cooled yet felt electric with possibility. As the embers flickered, one evening's burdens began to transform into the raw material of testimony and triumph. It was among the shadows of doubt that clarity would rise, as if born from the ashes of unease itself. Peter, shifting his weight uneasily, voiced the silent fears shared among them. "Rabbi, we have encountered miracles, yet the world outside is harsh. Will you truly empower us to face the tumult, the unrelenting tide of skepticism? How will we stand when all we believe hinges upon faith in the unseen?" Yeshua lowered himself to eye level, a beacon of reassurance in the swirling darkness. "You are not bound just by visible realities, you are not merely clay vessels, but electrified by the breath of the divine. Your faith is the bridge connecting this realm and the kingdom I speak of. When in doubt, let me remind you, he who walks among you does not walk behind the veil of divinity alone. I dwell within your hearts." A profound hush swept over them and the fire crackled, imbuing the silence with a sense of both fear and exhilaration. Thomas, ever cautious, found courage within and asked, "What does it mean to believe in you, Rabbi? Can faith withstand the barrage of life's sufferings?" Yeshua extended his hands toward them, palms open and inviting, gathering the attention of all present. "Faith is more than mere belief in the unseen, it is an active surrender of the heart. Picture it this way: imagine planting seeds in a field. You know not how they grow or when they will bloom, yet you trust in the soil. Believing is akin to that nurturing, allowing the rain of adversity to water your seeds of courage." Mary of Magdala raised her chin, her expression fierce yet beautiful in its vulnerability. "And what of our own burdens, our scars? How do we reconcile your truth with the very real pains we carry? Can our stories coexist alongside this miraculous revelation?" Yeshua's gaze turned solemn, embracing the weight of her question. "Your scars tell the tale of resilience, the odyssey of your being. These stories are not to be concealed but woven into the very fabric of the divine tapestry. In recognizing your suffering as sacred, you honor the journey from despair to hope. It is in the sharing of pain that you illuminate the path of healing for others." The fire burned brightly, illuminating their faces, revealing the flickers of realization that danced in their eyes. Here stood a profound truth: their vulnerability transformed not only their own narratives but became luminous bridges to others aching in darkness. In that moment, each disciple contemplated their own scars, the burdens they bore, the obstacles they had faced, and for the first time, a flicker of hope ignited amidst their fears. A covenant was being created within the circle as they began to see their struggles as potent narratives interwoven with purpose. At that very moment, a rush of wind swept through the trees, conjuring a collective gasp from the group. An unseen power began to envelop them, drawing them deeper into communion. The embers of knowledge stirred in the air, and Yeshua, feeling the palpable shift, beckoned them closer. "Let go of your fears," he whispered, his voice like a gentle river as it cut through the murmurs of doubt. "Embrace the radical notion that love flows through your brokenness. Each heart here holds the possibility of transformation, a ripple effect that can alter the very tides of humanity." In full vulnerability, Nathanael stood, affirming the unspoken bond. "If love is the root of our purpose, then let us be trees swaying in the wind, ever growing, even through storms." The fire snapped, its brilliance mirroring the ignition of courage all felt that night. Together, they stepped into a shared understanding that their lives were not isolated chapters but part of an epic narrative, one that defied the confines of fear and embraced the wild, unpredictable beauty of life and love. Yeshua nodded, his heart swelling with pride as shadows fell away like a taut veil lifted from their eyes. Tonight marks not an ending, but a beginning, a stepping stone to embodying grace and purpose within the world. Each act of love sown into the fabric of existence will uproot despair, and every seed planted will reshape the future. As dawn's first light began to illuminate the clearing, illuminating their faces, Yeshua rose and lifted his arms wide, as if embracing the entire cosmos. "Believe this, you are not alone. This journey you are called to embrace is shared with me, with one another, and with the divine. Together, you will experience a profound truth, one that reveals what it means to truly live." A collective sense of wonder enveloped them. Each disciple felt the stirring of divine energy threading through their hearts, daring them to act not merely as believers but as active participants in the unfolding of love. As the brilliance of morning spilled across the earth, the resounding truth echoed through them all: love was an invitation to radical transformation, a sacred act that would empower each individual to live out the divine nature woven through their existence. Emboldened by faith, entwined with purpose, and ignited by love, they were ready to step forth, carrying the essence of this revelation into the world waiting beyond their fragile circle, where miracles awaited those brave enough to believe. Thus, with the first light of dawn heralding the promise of a new day, they stepped forward from the shadows, not as mere witnesses to Yeshua's truth but as partners in a covenant of love, ready to illuminate the vast expanse of humanity with the gospel of grace. And in that moment, they understood, the truest miracle is not in the signs and wonders they may yet witness, but in the transformative power of love that amplifies their very being.